Addiction also takes a toll on families too, right? Tell us about that.
It does. Addiction is known as a family disease. It affects everyone in the home. The family dynamic is a huge, essential portion that needs to change a lot of times. Sometimes it's a matter of enabling, but families don't realize that's what's happening.
Right.
Sometimes it is a matter of codependence. The thing that I find a lot of people struggle with is establishing boundaries, healthy boundaries. And I think people a lot of times have boundaries kind of skewed as to what does a boundary really look like. And a boundary is not meant to box someone else in and say, you can do this, you can't do that, because we're all adults here, right? Even someone in active addiction is still an adult. They need to be treated like an adult. A boundary is to say, this is what I will and will not accept in my space. But if you choose to do that, you can do what you want to do in your space. But the boundaries are to protect ourselves. And families have a hard time setting those and maintaining those for many reasons. Of course, you love that person and you want to help that person. So there's steps to setting boundaries and being able to hold them. There's parts of boundaries that need to be maintained in order for them to be successful, or you're better off to not set them in the first place.
One of the hardest things is to create the boundaries, right? And
Yes.
to stick to them.
Yes.
A lot of times we sort of deviate or we lessen, the boundary. Okay, come on in. You got to keep, you got to be forthright with it, don't you?
Yeah, you do. In a way that builds positive growth for both,
Right.
not to tear down. Boundaries shouldn't be set to tear down. They should be set to build up and to establish responsibility and to establish accountability. It's kind of a tough love thing, It's not to be mean. It's not to be controlling, but it's just for tough love.
That's a big thing too. You mentioned that important word, accountability, because sometimes, even I'm sure when people come to the Waymaker Center, that they want you sometimes to hold their hand always. But what you're doing is you're giving them the tools and resources that they need to once again believe in themselves. So when Angie and the other members of the team are not necessarily right there, and they're in a situation, they can call upon some of those things that Angie and the team sort of, shared with them. And it's about them taking responsibility for their lives, right? Versus you guys living the life for them. Sometimes that's what people hope when they want help is, okay, I'm not gonna have to do anything because they're gonna do it all for me, and that's it. But you're really showing them how they can rise to the occasion, and accountability is one of those key factors, right?
Very much so. It's also empowering to them when you give them a tool and you give them instructions, and this is how you can accomplish this, but it's up to you to do it. We have an option every day to give them a fish or teach them how to fish. And if we teach them how to fish, then they're going to be able to do that through their life. And the idea of working with families is also to get to a point where rather than giving them that fish, teach them how to fish so that they can do that. A lot of people who are down and they've lost their hope, no matter where they find themselves in life, feel like everybody else has lost hope in them too. And they feel like that they're incapable. They feel like they're incapable of growth and of moving forward in their life, that it's over for them. And one of the greatest things that you can do for someone in that situation is to say, hey, I have faith in you. I believe you can make this phone call. I believe that you can call and set this up. I believe that you have the ability to walk into this bank and open up your first checking account. I have the belief that you can go in there and get that interview. Let's prep you for that, so that you're ready to go get it. You go get it.
Right.
And when they do, that boost of momentum behind their healing and them wanting to gain their life back, it's beautiful. I can't stress that enough, how beautiful that is. And so to continue to empower them in ways, we're not going to do it for someone, but we're going to set them up so that all they have to do is embrace it. And if they embrace it, they can do it.
I can see the joy that just brings you in describing this. It really does, doesn't it?
It does. I could talk about it all day. There's so many stories, beautiful things that have happened. And to hear them say, I didn't think I could do this, or they'll say, I'm doing big girl things, or I'm doing
Right,
big guy things,
right.
It's beautiful. They didn't have the confidence, and now they do. So it's our job as a community, not just Waymakers, but as a community and as families of them, to be able to say, you know what, I think you can do that. And families can do that at home. I think you can do that. I have faith in you.
See, that's beautiful.
It is.